Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. That was Joe Biden, word for word. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were a real go-getter, someone who cared about this country, and I knew there was a genuine threat to America, a threat to my freedom, I would do everything possible to stop that threat. Hell, I might even kill it, especially if the commander-in-chief told me so, and I was some lonely weirdo looking for an easy pass to infamy. But that's Joe Biden saying it. And he said a lot of things, including that his uncle was eaten by cannibals. If his uncle was anything like Joe, at least they were eating their vegetables. But then yesterday, Joe said he was sincerely grateful that Trump is doing well and recovering. How can that be? How can you be sincerely grateful that a person who is a threat to our country is doing well? After the attempted assassination of Hitler, did America send him a Get Well Mein Führer card? So could it be Joe was lying about Trump's evilness? Could it be that they were all lying? And it's a lie said over and over again that led to an attempted assassination? But at least some people aren't as two-faced as Joe. Where's Joy Reid, Keith Olbermann, Madonna, the opinionators at MSNBC or the New York Times? What about the pervs at the Lincoln Project? It's as if the people who wanted to eliminate Trump are trying to eliminate themselves from the crime scene. What's this silence say from folks who said Trump would end the world, end democracy, put people in camps? Today they slink away like Steve Doocy from an all-night bookstore. I don't blame him. I'd hide my sorry ass, too. I've said this many times. Calling Trump Hitler made all actions against him morally required. If you had a time machine, who wouldn't go back and take out baby Hitler? If not, you're Hitler, too. Or a huge fan of evil babies. But you don't need a time machine. Just a media platform and a hope that among 300 million people, you'll reach the ones with more loose screws than a Boeing jetliner. Call it assassination by effect. Amplify the need for elimination, and someone will gladly trade their miserable obscurity for eternal infamy. Think about if Trump had actually been killed. How soon before the think pieces appear that claim the perp was the victim of Trump? They're already blaming Trump's words.
You cannot make any statements about dangerous rhetoric that leads to political violence and division without acknowledging the words that have come from Donald Trump's mouth and his social media.
President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
Hey, Martha, time to retire. You've lost your mind, and your face has more wrinkles than an orangutan's ball sack. You know, they love a good ball sack joke. You know, John Hinckley tried to kill Ronald Reagan to impress Jodie Foster. Here, the shooter did it to impress the media, the famous, Hollywood. It's a path to glory. He wasn't radicalized, he was incentivized. Oh yeah, you'll be dead, but your name lives on as the slayer of Hitler 2.0. Now, no one is saying you can't call us Nazis and monsters. The question is, why would you? It's certainly not to make our lives safer. Saying Trump is Hitler, it's not so people won't kill him, but it's also how the left skips rational debate. They invoke Hitler, but they're still pals with Mao and Stalin. So now they say, we must ratchet down the rhetoric on both sides. Of course, when you look at both sides, you have one side saying, you're all Nazis, and the other saying, hey, stop calling us Nazis. It's like telling a mugger and his victim that they're both complicit because there was a wallet exchanged. Remember how outraged the media would get when Trump would call them out? And yet they never stopped to think what their own bullseyes did to the lives of Trump supporters. Or maybe they did and just didn't care, because remember, they hate you as much as they hate Trump. And yet after Saturday, Trumpers, they didn't retaliate. Apparently these domestic terror groups on the right are really lazy, or they only exist in the sick minds of the Democrat Party and their scumbag pals in the media. Here's one.
For anyone out there who has a platform, who thinks the moment right now is to be political and attack the other party, you are feeding into the danger. You are making it more likely there's retaliation. I'm incredibly scared. I'm scared for journalists.
Okay, Jan. Think about that. A Trump supporter is murdered, and she frets about attacks from Trumpers. But didn't they, meaning leftists, riot the days of Trump's inauguration? Didn't they show up at a Supreme Court justice's house with a gun? Didn't they burn down half of America after George Floyd died? Didn't they gun down 5 Dallas cops in one night at a BLM rally? Spare us the threat of violence from Trump supporters, you assholes. I'm not saying that their words pulled the trigger. It's not about the words, it's the intent. These bastards knew what they were doing. They fed the beast, they cared for it, and the beast got out. May it eat them alive.